Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Escambia County Tourist Development Council meeting. Today is October 21st. It is roughly 3 o'clock, maybe a couple minutes after. And first, Philip, was the meeting properly advertised?
Mr. Chairman, this meeting was advertised in the Pensacola News Journal on October the 16th.
Great. And would you please call the roll?
Matish Patel. James Reeves. Is he here someplace?
He's here somewhere.
He's here someplace,
He's got a
yes.
stack of stuff up there.
Ashley Hoffberger. Shirley Cronley. David Baer.
Here.
Brad Mullinex.
Here.
Charles Baer.
Here.
Jennifer Brayer.
Here.
Jason Nicholson. Here. Of quorum.
Great. Thank you so much. We do have a quorum, so we will officially call the meeting to order. At this time, we will do public forum. Is there anyone from the general public here today that would wish to speak to anything tourism related? Seeing no one rush to the podium, we'll move on. First item of business on the agenda is review and approval of prior TDC meeting minutes. We have distributed to each of us the August 19th, 2025 meeting minutes and the September 9th, 2025 special meeting minutes. Are there any additions or changes that we need to make?
I move the approval of the minutes.
We have a motion to approve, and we have a second. Is there any other debate or discussion? Please show those adopted. All right, next item is the status of funds available. Jeremy, come on down. Welcome.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Jeremy Pagaligan. I'm a senior budget analyst with the Escambia County Budget Office, and I'm here today to present the status of the TDT funds through September 2025. As always, I believe the clerk's office has already provided you with a detailed breakdown of the expenditures. Before I begin, please note that these figures reflect the most up-to-date information available as of period 13, which is still open and final adjustments have not been completed yet. So with that being said, as of the end of September 2025, FY25 collections, including interest, total $23,444,131. This compares to $23,579,551 in collections through September 2024. This reflects a decrease of approximately $135,420 year over year. Excluding interest, FY25 collections are $22,114,042 compared with $22,014,490 through September 2024, reflecting an increase of $99,552 or 0.45%. Interest earnings are $1,330,089 through September 2025, compared with $1,565,061 in 2024, indicating a decrease of $234,972 or 15%. To give you a clearer picture, the total collections for FY25 through September represent 114.36% of the annual TDT revenue budget, which is set at $20.5 million. On the expense side, total expenditures through September 2025 amount to approximately $18.6 million and $7.2 million encumbered. Finally, the current TDT cash balance stands at $34.18 million through September 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any questions or comments? I would just like to make note of, although it was marginally better, it was once again another record year of collections for Escambia County. So great work that everybody here is doing. So thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is Visit Pensacola Marketing Update. I spoke after I published the agenda. Darren asked if he could wait until December to present. He's working on closing out his last year and doing an annual report. So unless anybody has any questions for him that he's not prepared to answer today, we'll move on to the Bay Center improvement updates. Michael Capps, welcome.
Thank you, Council, for the opportunity to come in and give you an update on the Bay Center. We just had opening night for hockey and launched a little bit of stress relief for all of our staff, working diligently over the past 3 months to replace the entire arena floor. That was 22,000 square feet of concrete, 8 inches down, with pipes, and the ice plant cutting a hole in the building, taking the old one out, putting the new one in. We're still closing that out with the new ammonia plant, working with the fire department, county facilities to make sure it's hazmat safe. We've met with the fire department for the county because they are the hazmat team that responds, but also the city that's right next door to us. So we're working with that on the safety measures. Our ice programs have kicked off. The figure skaters have had a good return. They've had a lot of new skaters. It's a good problem that they've had to have because they have different levels of quality of skaters, meaning they have more advanced, more developed skaters. So it's hard to put that type of skater out on the ice with a smaller skater that's, more of a novice, just learning how to get on and stand up. But our youth program's going strong. Our adults are going strong as well. We started opening night with almost 5,000 in the building, competing with the fair. That's been one of the best nights in my tenure that I've been in the building. There's a lot of excitement with the brand new light show. We had a couple quirks. We did have the lights go dark while we were playing at one point. We did have the lighting expert that installed it on site, so it was only a split second. But the part of the full commissioning of the light and the sound system is that they are going to be here through 3 complete events. So we've got plenty of time to work that out and really refine it and develop it. Part of the lighting system is that we get to program it. So if you got to see any of the video clips that have been out with the flyers, we're going to launch a whole campaign with the Bay Center's team on social media to show you everything we've done, from the locker rooms to the Bunker Club suite that we're trying to redevelop, our new offerings for the VIP room, for room A during hockey games, the lighting, the sound, the NHL quality rink system. It is actually the same kind of rink that goes into NHL buildings. The ice floor has been running a lot colder. It's been some of the best ice that we've had reported from the players and even Greg Harris. We did actually get the chance to get him to be the first on the ice, and he came off and he said it was outstanding. It did happen to be on his 45th birthday as well. So it was a good little token of appreciation for the effort that he's done for bringing hockey back into its heyday, because I know we have had some downturn with hockey in the past. It is rebounded, done well. We've got $5 weekend coming up this weekend on Saturday night, so it's all seats are $5. Then we roll into the Day of the Dead on November 1st. They're kind of doing a Mexican-themed Hispanic Day of the Dead jersey. Then we have small dog racing and another night now on the Blue Angel weekend, if they do fly on that weekend. It was originally scheduled not to be on Blue Angel weekend, but you know how that goes. And then the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, we'll have another $5 night, again trying to get more people out in the beginning of the season, where it's usually hockey. People show up towards the end of the season when you get your roster back and get into playoff mode. Concert-wise, we've got a lot of Christian shows that are out there right now. We just had Crowder that played off. White Tie played off with us and did okay. I think they got impacted by some of their shows being compacted together close on each other. But their Christmas show will come back in December. We've got Skillet and Jeremy Camp in November. And then we have the Pensacola Invitational Basketball Tournament that we are producing from the Bay Center and ASM Global. Now it's Legends Global. So it's hard for me to say that. We keep changing names, but we are Legends Global. And we're working with a company that is actually producing the Texas A&M and Florida State game in Tampa. They go around and do a lot of these types of tournaments, but it'll be Southern Miss. We're trying to make sure we keep a Sunbelt school as part of this non-conference tournament. University of Tennessee Martin, University of North Florida, and University of Prairie View A&M. Those will be the 4 teams. It's a round-robin tournament. 2 games on each day, Saturday and Sunday, November 21st and 22nd. That is to be an annual event, and we just recently had conversations with the Sun Belt about bringing in additional teams, either front end, the book end, or back, where we've had App State's been interested, Troy's been interested, South's been interested, bringing in other teams like New Mexico State, Miami of Ohio, Virginia Tech, and those types of teams to get in and get more basketball season in the shoulder season in November. That helps us launch into, promoting Sunbelt and making that grow and become even better. I know Ray's in the audience, and I'll let him speak more on the Sunbelt side of things as well. But we just had a call today. We're getting ready to launch the ticket book sales for that. For the court side, the campaigns are running strong and ready to continue that relationship. This will be year 1 of that new 5-year agreement. Aside from that, with the renovations and updates on the Base Center, we have put in some new fencing. We're getting ready to redo the back side of it, where it goes around, the 9th Avenue lot. We have updated, like I mentioned, the lighting and the sound. We did hit pause on the parking lots just because of the considerations of what we're doing with the renovations that are coming forward. Depending on how that goes, we may still need to do some work there, just from a life safety standpoint. But it's always better to pause and not spend than spend and have to redo it. So we're doing the same thing with our bathroom floors, our concourses, some of the merch stands. Some of those things that were in the $10 million plan, those are in the bigger renovation plan as well. So instead of spending it now, redoing it, and we'll just do it once instead of twice. We have received the first draft of the CSL report, which is Consumer Sports and Leisure, that Legends Global commissioned on behalf of the county to determine the concept of the new event center for a convention center, sports center, flex space. That report has come back. It's about 174 pages. We're kind of diving through it, making sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's before we bring it before you guys and the public. In addition to that, Populous, the architect that did the previous work and cost estimates, they have been working with what that study produced to give you some conceptual designs and some potential costs of what that would look like going forward. And we've approached it from a master plan standpoint of not just, okay, we put a event center in the back parking lot and that's it. It did return about a 55,000 square foot convention center, but it's a total of 93,000 square feet total in the footprint. It did also return that there was some demand for a practice rink with a seating of about 1,000 to 1,500 that would house a training facility, a restaurant, a recreational facility, so it can do actual recreation ice. It's not just a practice rink, but again, not the bells and whistles that you'd see in a larger market in the north that can, generate that type of demand. In addition, we did include a hotel on the property because some of the information that came back to support the event center means that to truly support it, you need a continuous environment from hotel to convention center, and that hotel needs to be at least a 200-key full-service hotel if you're going to attract these types of conventions that I think Visit can come in and bring in, and they've shown that they've gotten the demand for. In addition to the sports teams that come in, we don't want hockey players staying in a hotel, walking outside in their gear, trying to come to the rink and go between 2 sheets between the Base Center and the practice rink as that comes to fruition. So that is all in the plans. It's again conceptually to show you what can happen, and it's been driven to provide you options to take a look at, and the data and the facts of what the market says with all these interviews and studies that we've done with all the convention groups, the concert groups, the sports groups, and so forth. So I anticipate to get some additional cost estimates this week and meet with our team, Legends Global, next week to be able to refine that final report and take the draft name off of it and be able to turn that in and then go from there on taking guidance and direction on how to present that. And with that, I'm here for any questions.
Great, thank you, Michael. Any questions from anyone? No? Sounds exciting. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Appreciate the update. All right. Next item is discussion of setting a threshold for funding. Commissioner, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. So as we went through earlier this year and we were looking at the proposed programs and the different events that everybody wanted funding for, so many of them were so good. And there's not really a threshold on ROI. So I feel like we're putting it out there and we don't really give them what we expect. So I didn't know if there was an appetite for the board. And I think you were the one that mentioned we have to refill the coffers, so we need to make sure that they're bringing money in. So do we want to look at setting a threshold on what we expect for an ROI on projects or events?
Questions, comments? You're just lobbing it out there?
I'm just throwing it out there.
I think that there's real merit to giving a clearer view to the public, and I think that we heard it this year a lot with us not being as clear, and so we're asking for transparency on that side. Maybe we should be offering it on this. So I appreciate you bringing this idea forward personally.
And I think it would also help, oh yeah, sorry. I think it would also help the people that are asking for dollars to better understand what we're looking for, so that they're not coming up and wanting dollars that they don't qualify for.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's worth putting it on there and then discussing it, and just, I think we should have some sort of parameters that we can give to folks coming so that they know what's expected, and it just gives them more clarity. And I think it's better. I think sometimes we upset folks, and I don't think we want to. We want to see events, we want to drive tourism, but I think if we have a clear goal of what this board expects, then I think that's gives the folks asking for funds a little more clarity.
Do we feel like a good number to look at would be how much are we paying per room night to get people here? Or do you guys have different ideas on that?
I think there'll probably be different measures of success. You know, oftentimes, my fellow hoteliers and I, and RV operators, talk about refilling the coffers with tourism development tax, that being a leading indicator of the success of the tourism industry. But we've also, you know, discussed on this board that if there's a significant community impact that refills other revenue coffers, that being sales tax or whatever, then maybe that's success as well. I would also want to think that we would bring in the county commission and the citizens of Escambia County to help define what that looks like for the county. You know, obviously we're identified, I believe, as the experts in the tourism industry to represent Escambia County, but I don't think we'd be doing our job if we didn't ask for their opinion. I think that we have to first start with the definition of what success looks like to set up metrics against that.
That makes sense.
How pinpoint, this probably is for finance, how able are we to pinpoint revenue from taxes? I mean, I know we can do property tax, I know, but sales tax is harder to clarify to a region, I believe. Is it just comes in for the county, it comes in, Stefan, I'm sorry.
Are you talking about the tourist development tax, where it's
Well,
coming-
just
being collected?
Well, no, because we're talking about potentially not. He added in sales tax there, and I've been trying to, and that's so much more difficult to.
Sure. So, good afternoon, council members. So, typically, what we see with our tourism partners, they'll pay for a professional study to be done to do that. That's not something that finance can figure out. We don't. That's not what I do or my staff does. But there are certainly companies or other entities that do those things for us. But that's my answer to that. But for instance, I'm gonna give council a couple of examples to where the commissioner was going with her comments as far as establishing a threshold, just to kind of throw a couple things out. So let's say council invests $200,000 in an event or an activity or some tourism-related item. So let's say if that generates 5,000 room nights, okay? So for each dollar, of that, we basically got, 40, let's say 40 folks stayed during that. So for $1, you got 40. Okay, so let's say if it was a $200,000, again, that same $200,000, and let's say economic output was $5 million. So for each dollar spent, that was a $25 return on investment for that dollar. So just kind of presenting it that way. So if council wishes to go this route, that it would basically be something where, hey, as long as you fit between here and here, it should be pretty easy for council to approve that ask. So showing it from that perspective.
So using either.
Or you could even set it for both.
Ooh, I like both.
If we could extend the math on that just a little bit, $200,000 in TDT collections, accommodations providers have to generate $4 million in accommodation sales to generate $200,000 in tourism development tax. So that same 5,000 room nights, if we were going to measure success, would it replace $200,000 in funding, event funding?
Sure.
And would the impact of that particular theoretical event be more or less than $4 million?
Correct, to your point.
To at least realize a one-to-one replacement on the allocation.
Correct.
But however, if it were to generate $4 million in accommodations revenue and $16 million in retail sales that threw off X dollars in sales tax, one could deduce that that could be a good event. I would certainly think so. So that's why I say we have different measures of success. What's the impact to the community?
Well, correct. And that's for council to deliberate. Typically, maybe some events, maybe you do get that dollar for dollar. Maybe you get better than the dollar for dollar. And other events, you may not.
Right.
So, but that is conversely, we're setting the threshold. This is the minimum that council would accept for funding one of these type of items. So anything better than that, that's good. So
I think it opens up a big discussion, and it really comes down to financial analysis for me and community impact.
I would agree. So you mentioned getting input from the community on how to measure this, and I absolutely agree. What do you think the best way to get the community their opinion on that would be?
I don't know.
But we do have public meetings.
We do have public forum too,
Yeah.
as well. Okay.
So question, how do you measure the $1.5 million impact on that we gave through Visit Pensacola for American Magic to put the logo on their sale that was seen around the world? As a result, we have seen Foiling Week come here to Pensacola because they recognize what we've done in the Bay. A participant in Foiling Week last year is now coming here to do a program in November outside of the Foiling Week. Their proposed or hoped to planned thing. There's a manufacturer who came last year during Foiling Week who has signed an MOU with Florida West and PEDC to consider moving their operation here to manufacture foiling boats and other vehicles. I don't know what you call them, but so how do you measure that? I mean, that $1.5 million that was on a sale for advertising, because that's what the statute says, to promote and advertise for tourism development. Doesn't say putting heads in beds anywhere in the statute. Clearly, that's an important variable in the math, because we don't have money to invest in these programs if we're not putting heads in beds. But there's no requirement in the statute. There's no requirement in the county's tourism plan that they've adopted into ordinance. But those are impactful.
Right.
Those things are huge. I don't know what the fireworks. I don't think we've ever seen a visitor interface survey with a return on room nights for any of the fireworks, but we can't say it doesn't create an economic impact in our community. So how do you measure that? So I don't know how while I agree, we need to give the applicants an expectation when they're applying and sort of direction on what we're expecting, but tourism development means so much in so many different things. I'm not sure how we make a list. We can say these types of things and the like, maybe, but no requirement for $300 per, per room night, or whatever that threshold that we're talking about, because I just don't know how you can do that, especially when I think what we're trying to do by doing that is take this broad statute that allows us the flexibility to invest in different types of programs to attract a diverse type of audience and tourists to come to Escambia County that might be a startup event that has the potential to grow, and maybe the first year, the first 3 years may not have the type of return that a 10-year event has, but we don't want to cut it out because it doesn't make, that first year doesn't make that threshold, when it could be this huge event that grows over time. And so I say all that out of caution of however we have this dialogue, wherever it goes, I think we need to really consider that, because at our last meeting was a special meeting to discuss the sale of Pensacola, and obviously this board voted against it. But the international travel, Visit Florida's data and other industry entities, organizations that do data analysis say that the international traveler stays longer, spends more money than any other type of traveler. And so while they did not put a certain number of heads and beds that would have been, on par with some of the other programs that we've recently funded, they have potential. When they're bringing in, Sail Pensacola is bringing in international teams, they do this thing around the world. It's as a result sort of the momentum from the American Magic investment that we made. Those are the types of things I think we need to all evaluate. But on another note, like in the same vein, that the number of dollars per head we put into that we put into this formula is based on the self-reporting audience size. So the presenter of the event is giving their visitor interface survey company that's doing that data collection a number. And we are putting all of the faith in that presenter that that number is true. Some people have booked rooms and they have that specific number based on room nights, but others say, well, 20% of my visitors or my participants were tourists, and I'm going to throw out a number, 100,000 people came to my event. Somebody else says, well, 60% of my participants were visitors, but I only had 50,000 people come. Well, what's the math? So if 100,000 people didn't come, it was really closer to 50,000 or 40,000, then that's not a real number. And I don't want to set a threshold based on somebody throwing a number out in the air either. I think that's not fair to everyone else participating.
I absolutely agree with that, and I think you highlighted a really good point. There's a difference between advertising and then investing in events, and I think we have to separate those. Is there not a reporting requirement from a third party for the people we give money to, Stefan? And if there's not, should there be for year two? Like maybe not for year one, but for year two, do we want to require them to have a third party report?
There is not a requirement. Now, we do get after-action reports. We do get an annual report, but again, not all these are professionally done. It could be based on like cards passed out at an event
Well, like David
or
said, that makes
during
me
a thing,
really
and then they
nervous.
tally all that information up, and ultimately that's some of those things are used. Maybe they're talking to Visit Pensacola. Hey, how many people were staying in hotels this week? The week that we had this event. Certainly, if it was a new event, they can look back at the prior year. Hey, was it booked? Well, we did a great job this year. A lot more were booked versus last year. But not everybody spends their capital to get a professional study done. That is, no.
Is that, how much, Darren, do you know how much those studies run? Like if it's say it's an event we give $200,000 to and they're expecting to bring in 5,000 people?
I would say typically you're going to see somewhere between maybe $3,500 and $10,000. It could be anywhere in there depending.
That's a really good number. 3,500, 5,000 to 8,000, just depends on the complexity of the event.
Okay. Maybe we need to start giving an extra $5,000 or $10,000 to each one and letting them know if you're going to apply for year two, we expect to see this. That way we can get the economic impact as well, because that's a really good point.
So, but the point I was trying to make is there's the visitor interface survey. So the third party, whether it's the UWF Haas Center or Downs and Germain or whoever does they're doing a visitor interface and they're coming up with formulas. And then from the event promoter, whoever put on the event, whether it's Fufu Fest or it's Mardi Gras or it's Sail Pensacola, they have an audience size that they give that entity, that third party, and say, apply this number to your formulas to calculate the economic impact. So if I say 100,000 people came to my event and the visitor interface data comes back and says, well, there were 20% of those interviewed were from out of town, 80% were locals. And of that 20%, they spent X number of dollars on accommodations, X number of dollars on fuel, meals and entertainment, whatever those other variables are in their calculation. They just apply that $100,000 people to that, to their formulas. And it spits out room nights, it spits out dollars spent on the accommodations and meals and entertainment, et cetera, and then an overall economic impact.
So if it's
of
not a
that event.
ticketed event, we have no way of actually tracking that.
Correct. So it's, if bad data comes in, you get bad data out.
That makes sense.
And there's a lot of the events that are outdoor events that are not ticketed events. And some of them, even like Fufu Fest, has a whole number of events. Some are ticketed, some are not. Mardi Gras, it's not a ticketed parade. We don't know how many people are in the parade participating, how many come to the parade as observers. We don't know how many people went to Sail Pensacola. We don't know, I think Cadillac has tickets, so his event's fenced off, so we know exactly how many people came to that event. But otherwise, it is bad data in, bad data out.
That makes
And
sense.
I don't know how we can get good data without just trust.
Right. That's really good information. Okay, I took a half a page of notes, and I just wanted this on everyone's radar, so if you guys get home and have a glass of wine and have a really good idea, maybe we can, or a beer, maybe we can
I sell
Brains-
wine too.
brainstorm that again coming up. So thank you. Very good input. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. Is there any other action or conversation you want to have about it? Okay. I don't know. While we're talking about it, I didn't know if anybody. Are you
I'd like to
Charles?
talk, yeah.
Oh, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm with Jason on this. All we do is recommend. We don't appropriate any funding in here. And the county commission has clearly shown that it doesn't always agree with us. And so I think this needs to start with the county commission, and they need to be the ones to ask the public what they think. It's not really our job. Actually, I think it's a good idea. I think it's very, very difficult to do. But ultimately, I would like to know what the county commission really wants us to do, because we look at the records, we look at the lack of financial records that are here, and we make decisions based on what we think is the right thing to do, what might be legal, illegal, and the county commission goes its own way. So I think any threshold, we need to get some input from the county commission on what they're really looking to fund. Thank you.
So it is our duty to make recommendations to the county commission for tourism development. And whether that is policy or procedures or just funding recommendations, I think that is our responsibility. Certainly, we want their input. And I'm happy to appoint a committee. Commissioner Hoffberger, if you'd like to chair that committee and put other members of this council and maybe some members from the industry on there as well. So we will.
Subcommittee outside of this group.
Maybe made up of some of this group, but other folks, like maybe, well, I guess I can't put another commissioner on there, but maybe some Visit Pensacola, Pensacola Sports, or ACE, or some of the other entities that receive funding on that committee to have this discussion. and then to present that back to this group.
I would be happy to head that up.
Okay.
Do we need to talk about the makeup of that committee?
We can if you'd like, or I can just appoint as the chair. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let me, if you'll chair it, and then I'll appoint the members. Okay, yep, thank you. Any other comments or?
Sort of. But if we're
Councilwoman?
talking about $4 million for 200,000, that would replenish, and we're saying it's broader than just the bed, that could be a good threshold to start with, that for each dollar we spent, that should be a multiplier of 20. So for a dollar spent, there should be $20 spent in the community, one way or the other, and that would go to the 4 million in an easier way, and that would at least start giving people an idea of what they're looking. And I do think I think that there should be an intention to eventually wean people off. I think that in our rules is not a bad idea, that if these entities, they're beginning to make money off things, and they're doing it for that in a lot of ways. And so I do think that there should potentially be a wean down or an escalation in that 20 times per dollar to something higher if they want to continue to get money. Just a thought going forward.
That's a great topic for the committee.
Yep.
Yep, thank you.
I wanted it out there with everyone, though.
Yeah. Any other comments?
When you appoint, if you could put a bed tax collector on.
Absolutely.
No, all right.
I will, thank you. All right, thank you. Thanks, Commissioner, for bringing that to our attention. All right, next item is other business. I put on the agenda Pensacola Sports, and I'd like Ray Palmer to please come on up here. Oh, you're pretty close. Ray has some stuff he'd like to talk about related to Pensacola Sports, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to publicly thank him for all the work that he's done at Pensacola Sports. He's announced his retirement, I believe, at the end of this calendar year?
No.
Or- No, okay.
Y'all got me.
We got
You're
you
not
longer.
done with
Good.
me. I'm not done with y'all.
Oh, good, good.
No, September, my current contract ends September 30, and what basically we've done is just determined that it's time for me to step aside and let's bring some new young blood in here. And so we will begin a search probably first of the year, and however long that takes. I mean, I owe everything to them, and so however long they need me in whatever capacity they need me through September 30th, that would be my end of my full-time commitment to them.
Okay, well, I just want to thank you for all the work that you've done to grow the sports tourism in our community. You had huge shoes to follow.
Yes, I did.
But in all seriousness, you've done a great job. I know when I was on the other side of this dais working for ACE, I enjoyed working with you. You were very collaborative to help grow the tourism community, and I want to thank you on behalf of my role at ACE, my previous role at ACE, and as the chairman of TDC. Thank you for the work you continue to do for our community.
It's been my pleasure.
And now you have a few, I don't know if anybody else has anything nice or rude to say to him, but I'm opening it up for both.
Easy now. Easy now.
Yeah.
Okay, then good. Let's get to business. First, Commissioner, I would offer a couple of thoughts on your going. There are 86 counties or 68 counties or whatever there are, and there are a lot of
67.
TDCs. They're all facing what you face, and early on in my career, I was told copy the best and make up the rest. And there is plenty of information out there on how other TDCs are doing that reporting. I know in my Pensacola Sports condition or case, Tish knows extremely well because he sits on our grant committee. We have a scoring matrix that we pay about $4,000 a year, and we can run all the economic impact reports that you want. And they talk about, they're specific to sports, whether it's youth or adult or, girls or boys or all the amateur, professional, all those factors are in there. It talks about bed tax. It talks about sales tax. It talks about gas tax, all locally designed for Escambia County, Florida. We pay for that every year, and we can run as many reports as we want out of that. We also, in our grant program, is we have a matrix that if you ask and you say you're going to bring 5,000 room nights and you get awarded a grant award for us, but you also have a great marketing plan and you're in the right time of the season, you get different points for all of those things, but you don't get your money till the end. You have to prove you did what you said, and we have clawbacks. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, we get money back from you. Now, if you do more, probably not likely you're going to get any more. But next year, we encourage you to ask for more. So there's a lot of matrices out there. David, to your point, you talk about the value of, you approved the Sun Belt Conference. That was a media buy. That's not the more traditional that Pensacola Sports is used to. It's what Visit does every day. So professionally, it's not normally what we do. That's a different look. It has a different value. The state statutes actually tie us to economic development statutes within the state that allow us to have NDAs. I can go negotiate business behind closed doors in sports tourism, tied to the state statutes, knowing the value of things, of the value of a sale, of being on that sale. So this tourism industry allows us to do a lot of those things. So I think where you're headed is a great idea to at least give our applicants know what they're going to expect. They know if they apply for this much, this is the amount of dollars that they can. And then there's a wow factor, if you will, that the committee has the authority to say, this has so much potential, let's take a little risk on it. And we can do that. We rewrote our rules to allow us to do that. I'm sorry, I did not need to take over that, but I look forward to seeing what happens there. Quickly, I'll give you a quick report on sports tourism business. It is hot. It is hot out there. And last week of September, I was in Annapolis, Maryland, getting educated in my industry because you can't stop learning, and had a great education session, 3 days in Annapolis. What a cool city as well. Navy town, water community, and lots of great education. Then last week I was in Columbus, Ohio for a week, and the sports tourism industry. I had some of the best appointments I've ever had of people that want to come to Pensacola and want to come to Escambia County. It's like, when can we come? What can we do? So the sports tourism industry is as healthy as it can possibly be. Some common themes were, one's how is that baseball complex coming? And I'll touch base on that real quick. I'll give you an update. And the other is, as I said, they all want to come to Pensacola and Escambia County. They know who we are, they know what we do, and they know what a spectacular place it is that we live, and they want to come play here. For a complex update, I talked to Michael Rhodes today because I know y'all have, we've invested $25 million out there in that complex. They have, I want to make sure I get this right, they have selected, and they are in the negotiation of the first phase of contracting the design engineering. That contract should come to the BOCC in December. After that is done, the RFP for the actual design and construction of the fields will go out. That will follow immediately after that, and they are still basically on track for an early spring, probably more realistic, early summer 2027 ribbon cutting. So just want to give you an update on where your money's going. Michael gave a great report on the building, and there's the outdoors. But lots of fun, great things happening in the sports tourism world. Any questions?
Right. Thanks, Ray. Anybody have any questions for Ray?
It's been an absolute pleasure to do. I'm stepping aside. I'm not hopefully completely going away, but I am stepping aside. And thank you all for your support and sports tourism and your belief in it and in us at Pensacola Sports. And I can't wait to see the new leadership.
Great. Thank you, Ray. So that gets us to the end of our agenda, but since we did not have an update from Visit Pensacola, and I see a couple of folks back there from ACE, and we're about to have Fufu Fest in a couple weeks. Do you guys want to come up and say a few remarks? Welcome, Therese.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Therese McKenzie, and I am here on behalf of ACE, and I'm also currently on the Fufu Fest committee, so I wanted to take this opportunity to give you a little bit of update on Fufu Fest. We do kick off next week. The festival official start date is October 30th, and we have 10 grant-funded events that are happening this year. So they are spread out during the entirety of the festival. We end on November 9th. We have different organizations that are hosting events ranging from the opera. We have the symphony is hosting an event. We have the Night Moves Music Festival coming back for the third year in a row. Dashboard Confessional and Japanese Breakfast are coming to Pensacola and are going to be down at Maritime Park on that Saturday for Night Moves Festival. And I wanted to also let you all know that there will be a kickoff party, like a press release on October 29th, which is the night before the festival starts, and we're doing that in conjunction with the Friends of Downtown. It's going to be on Palafox and Intendencia under the Afterburn installation, which is going to be the aerial arts installation this year that we're going to have. So would invite you all to come out and join us for that kickoff event. We're going to have the artist present, Thomas Law. He will be there, and a lot of some of the stores in the area are going to stay up later, like Rusted Arrow is going to stay up later, be open later that evening, and Jazz for Justice, which is a return Fufu Fest grant recipient. They're going to be there, and they're going to have some jazz performances. And also Pensacola Little Theater is doing a mini version of their event this year, so there's going to be lots of fun happening on October 29th. So I do suggest that you go and check out our website. It's fufufest.com. It has the whole schedule of events. In addition to the 10 grant-funded events that we also have what we call Friend of Fu events, which is open to not just people that received a grant, but also to other local businesses that want to host an event during Fufu Festival. So I believe we have close to a total of 40 events happening during Fufu Fest this year. So please check out the website. Hope to see you all out there. And lastly, I do want to thank the council for its continued support of ACE and also Fufu Festival. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Any comments or questions? Yeah.
Any questions? Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Any comments? Questions? So I know there was I'd gotten a call from someone on ACE's board about funding timing and some concerns over some of those funded events not getting the funds that they need in time. Have you guys resolved the issue?
So not yet, but I believe that it's coming. We have been told that money is in the process of being sent to Visit Pensacola, so we're hoping that we can pay our last outstanding grant recipients this Friday, which is not ideal for us. Typically, we have these grantees funded in July every year because the whole purpose of this grant is for these organizations to host special events that they would not be able to do but for our funding. So it has put our grantees in a predicament where they've had to try to track down funds from other sources. So it has not been ideal, but I'm being told money's on the way and we can pay them this Friday.
And for the record, since he's not on camera, I did see Stephen Hall nodding his head yes, and a thumbs up.
Yes.
Any other? That's great news. Any other comments or questions? No. Thank you so much. I'll look forward to Fufu Fest this year.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Ray, you have closing remarks?
I was only told to make sure I told y'all one thing, and of course I forgot to tell you the one thing I was told. The $200,000 that y'all allocated for us has all been done. It's been approved by the BOCC, and all that paperwork is cleared. I was supposed to tell y'all that, and of course I didn't do the one thing I was supposed to do. Story of my life.
Thank you. All right. Well, that gets us to the end of the agenda. We'll go around and do closing remarks. We'll start with you, Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd also just like to thank the council for, as I mentioned before, for extending your day and using your time, treasure, and talent to influence the tourism economy. That hits me personally, me and my family, and many of those in our county. it directly impacts our quality of life. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank you personally for bringing clarity to the discussion about metrics that we might set to enhance the allocation of the funds. I personally really appreciate your clarity of thought on that matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman?
I really have nothing other than thank you all for being here, and I think we've got a little while till we see each other again.
December.
Excellent, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank everybody for being here, and also just wanted to, I serve on League of Cities for the city of Pensacola, and I serve on a committee that deals primarily with utilities, natural resources, not really in the purview of this committee, but there have been a number of proposals this year to eliminate property tax or significantly curtail it. The biggest one is eliminate all non-homestead or all homestead property tax, which would have a devastating effect on the city and the county. Last year, there were proposals to convert or allow the expenditure of TDT funds for property tax relief and to allow it for things like mass transit. So it could get very interesting if these things continue moving and we end up with a constitutional amendment that we then have to go as a city and county, and anyone who thinks that having government is a good thing in the state of Florida other than the state government is probably going to want to think about that before they say, yes, I don't want property tax. But it could, if we do eliminate that, it could really impact us on the TDC, because we may end up having to look at other ways to spend the money besides just on tourism-related things. It could be mass transit, could be just taken away from us and given to property tax. So I know we're acting in the moment here, trying to make sure we have things in place. And I, more than anyone, I go through this process every year with my nonprofit, having to do partner allocation funds. So I know there needs to be clarity for people on what to expect in the process. And, you know, if there are metrics we can get to, I think it is because of the different things we do, I think it gets to be a challenge. And again, you know, we talk about getting a third party involved. You know, it's only as good as the data that's given to them. So, and it's a big expenditure for them and for ultimately for the taxpayers or you know, who are paying the tourist development taxes to make sure we have a third party. So I think there's a lot to talk about. I'm glad the chairman, Mr. Chairman, that you talked about having a committee, and I think that'll be helpful in moving us forward on that. But I think there's definitely an uncertain future for TDCs and for tourism development tax money at this point, and hopefully we will get through this. And you know, I don't know what's going to replace property tax. I hope it's not TDT, but it could be a challenge this coming year. Thank you.
Thank you. Brad?
Ray, thank you for all the work. I know you've done a lot in getting momentum in this area for those types of events, and it's very good to see. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Shirley?
I just want to thank the agencies. You guys have worked really hard this year, and it was another, we collected more dollars than we've had in the past, so what you're doing is right, and I know it is a challenge to work within the budgets and so forth, but thank you. It's very good.
Absolutely, thank you. Michael Capps, I am so excited about what's coming down the pipeline for the Bay Center. So as soon as you can present that, please let us know, because I think we're all really thrilled to see that. And I just want to tell the rest of the committee, thank you so much. I took a whole page of notes, and I'm excited to, you know, work with who you appoint on that and just provide some clarity to people who are applying for the grant. So thank you for your collaboration and your opinions and your thoughts, and I'm really looking forward to moving forward with that. So.
Mr. Reeves?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank Michael Capps. I appreciate the thorough communication he has with his council. It's very nice to have that feedback. I thank him. We're going to miss our favorites, director of the Sports Association. And I do want to say, Michael, that I am really glad that you're having a family Christmas program this year at the Bay Center. You didn't get that, did you?
City's having one too. Tish?
Just want to say thank you, and Ray, thanks for all the hard work. I know we still got you till September 30th. Hopefully, whoever comes in, you're able to mentor them, and it's going to be some big shoes to fill. And thank you, Commissioner, for making the suggestion. It is kind of scary, Mr. Bear, where you said the TDT could be used for property taxes. I know that was a big deal earlier this year. A lot of hoteliers visit Pensacola. We all had to kind of get together, write letters to the governor, and speak our voice. That's a big concern, especially for hoteliers and our families and our employees and their families. It's a big deal for the entire industry. So hopefully it's not used. TDT is not used for property taxes. I know it sounds great for folks to say, hey, you have no property taxes, but to replace it with TDT funds would be unfair to the tourism industry. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And first, I want to say you need to be more specific when you say Mr. Bear, because I thought you were talking about me. And I didn't say that, but I know. I knew. Once he started talking, I knew what the subject was. I knew it wasn't me. Thank you. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here today, too. I'm glad we had a quick meeting. But thank you, Michael Capps, for your update. Ray, obviously we still have you at least through September. But congratulations on your announcement for retirement. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Thank you, Commissioner, for bringing this topic to us. It's an important discussion that we need to have because, again, I think the folks who come stand before us need to know what we expect. And so, we've set up restricted funds. We've, added the 5th cent. We've invested in beach renourishment. We've done a lot of great things that are obviously showing the results because we continue to every year hit a new record. Although, again, it was marginally more this year, it's still more. And so thank you, everybody, for what you do, the programs you guys put on, and this board with these robust discussions. So thank you. And with that, I will call this meeting adjourned.